Guys, welcome back to John's Firearms 705. Quick little video today. Hammer block for the Tokarev pistol, chambered, the ones I have are chambered in 7.62 by 2.5. I know there's also the 9mm versions out there, and today's toners for the video are this Chinese Black Star, and the one that started it all, of course, the Soviet CCCP. CCCP, yeah, whatever. Okay, so the Soviet one here I've already taken out and I've cleaned it up. It's the end of the season. I predominantly shoot corrosive ammo. And then over here I have the Chinese one totally stripped down in parts. So what I'm going to try and show you today is how I take it apart. Little things I watch out for when cleaning, if you're using corrosive ammo and you do an end of the season storage kind of deep clean on your hammer block. And that's what I'm going to try and show you today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is a couple of Q-tips. We're going to need a rag that's, doesn't have to be clean, that one, but you're going to want another one that is clean. I got 3 punches. Is this a 5/32? Yeah, 1/8, and I believe this is a 1/16, otherwise known as a small, medium, and large. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to take our hammer mechanism housing, and the center pin in the middle here is the hammer retaining pin. So we're going to pop that out first with our, what is this again, 5/32, our large punch. Now, keeping in mind that this is hammer is under pressure in there. I don't know if we can show you, but down in there, there's a spring that rests on that bar that goes across. That's the hammer spring retaining pin. So when we pop this out, make sure you're cradling it so that the hammer doesn't pop out. Okay, we're going to grab our 5/32 punch. Just kind of get that going in there, started. Okay. Follow it through, push the pin out, set that aside. Okay, so now of course the punch is holding it all in place. We're going to trap the hammer and spring and just pull out our punch. Okay, once that happens, your housing still contains the your sear spring and your disconnector. We'll get to that in a moment. There's our hammer retaining pin we pulled out. And then there's our hammer. And of course, there's that spring I was talking about. It sits up inside this recess. Okay, we'll put that aside for now. And we look at the rest of our housing. We got 2 pins in here, okay? We got this one that's near the back. And that, like I said, is the hammer spring retaining pin. We don't need to take that out, but we do need to take this little one down here. So we're going to use our small punch for this, or the, was it 1/16, I think it is. And we're just going to punch that out. There's no spring tension or anything, but that'll release the parts on the bottom. So go ahead, grab your small punch and just push that out. So with that, there's our sear and our sear spring attached. Set that aside. And then there's our disconnector. To pull that up. Keeping note that that end of the disconnector sits up in that hole down there. And also, incidentally, when we put it back in, the sear spring, the end right here. I'll get the flashlight here and show you. See the little groove down in this block down here? That's where the tip of that sear spring is going to go in when we reassemble it. Okay, so there we are basically. You got your mechanism housing, you got your sear and sear spring, got your bolt retaining pin, it's the bigger one, your sear retaining pin, it's a smaller one, your funny looking piece, the disconnector, and of course your hammer and your hammer spring. Okay, now I've taken these apart a couple times and I put them back together, and I used to always struggle, and I thought, you know what, there's got to be an easier way So I started doing it this way, and it goes pretty smooth. It's a little bit weird, I'll tell you right now. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your medium-sized punch, your 1/8, take a clean rag, and clean the end of this off, because I'm telling you, we're going to have to hold this in our mouth. We do the final reassembly with the hammer and the spring, because you basically need 3 hands. So clean that off, we'll put that aside. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our mechanism housing. We're going to turn it upside down like this. Grab your disconnector. Like I said, the round part goes down inside that hole. Just sits in there like that. Okay. See, the end kind of comes over the shoulder there a bit. Sorry guys, my lighting is not very good today. Anyway, so just set that in there. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around with the disconnector facing me, okay? And on the side where the disconnector is facing me, I'm going to start in the little pin, or sear retaining pin. Okay, and we're going to push it through, but just enough to get it started. We don't want it interfering, okay? Now grab your sear and your sear spring. We're going to set this down, keeping in mind the end of that sear spring has to go into that little notch in the bottom there. And once you get it in there, you're just going to kind of push this down while applying some force into this pin. And then eventually it'll find the hole. It's really not too difficult. Okay, just like that. Now what I like to do at this point is, because it's not quite flush, I'll take the back end of any punch and just set it on there. Just set that pin right centered in there. Okay, just like that. So we got our sear spring and disconnector reattached. Okay, so now we're going to grab our hammer and our spring, put them in there. Grab our housing. We're going to set this in. And basically what you're going to do is this little spring is going to press in on this little bar here. Now also, if you notice too, you see the cutout in the hammer here, that kind of slides down over the pin, and once you get it over there enough, that's where the pin's going to come through, right here, and right through the center of the pin here. Okay, now once we just kind of get it in place, I know this is going to look weird, but it's the easiest way I found. So I'm going to have to shut up because I have to hold this as my third hand. I'm going to compress the spring down and push it in, or the hammer down and in. It'll line up the hole enough for me to get my medium-sized punch in there to hold it in place long enough to lock it so I can put the pin in afterwards. And it's like real easy if you do it this way. It just looks goofy as hell. Okay, well, it took a little bit of work, more than I was expecting, but we got our punch through there, holding our hammer and our hammer spring in place. At this point, all we got to do is replace it with the pin. So grab our pin, back out our punch. Just I'll get that pin started in there. And simply push it through. If you get started, what I like to do is grab something like the head of a hammer here. Set it on there. Get it pressed in again. I use the back of the punch to set that in place, nice and centered. There we go. So there we go, it's reassembled. It could be a little finicky, but if you have a couple of punches and a little bit of patience, it's not too bad. One thing I will point out when cleaning it, if you use corrosive ammo, is in the head of the hammer here. There's that deep recess where the spring goes. And Q-tip. Now, I've already pre-sprayed this with some G96 gun treatment, cleans and lubes, protects, whatever. Let it sit in there for a while. This one's not too bad, actually. Then, you know, you just clean the rest as you normally would. And one other thing I like to do is to clean out the spring is I kind of mess up the end of that Q-tip and kind of screw it on in there and get up to the other end. And then just take it, and you'd be amazed how much crap you get off of that. But I also will say, you know, inspect your spring when you're done. You don't want to be leaving bits of cotton from the end of that Q-tip in there. Yeah, look at the crap that came off that, eh? Anyway, I won't bore you with the details while I put this other one together. But that is the reassembled hammer block. You can always do a little function test, fully cocked. Just give yourself a little squeeze on the sear down there. It'll bring it back up, go down to quarter cock safety. Yep, we're good to go. So there you go. Okay, that there is a hammer block of a Tokarev pistol, disassembly, reassembly with a little bit of tips on cleaning. And hope it goes smooth as it did for me, for you, if not better. Peace out, have fun, we'll see you at the range.